Hello everybody, it's Glass Half Dead here, and today I thought I would show you how I have discovered, on YouTube, when I say discovered it's not like I discovered it, how to do marble bases. These are some of the end products, how they end up looking. They can be done on any base size. I've obviously decided Custodes, that's how you do them. And here we go, how do we do it? Well, we're going to need a few things. First, to clear the workspace, we're going to need some gloves, because you're going to be, let's just say this clay is particularly sticky. You're going to need a base. I don't feel I need to tell you that, but you need a base. You're going to need a scalpel for this particular method. I will tell you a few alternate methods as well, but for this one, we need a scalpel. Not really to use it, just because I find that if you're ever in a situation whilst hobbying that you can't cut yourself and accidentally bleed out, what's the point, So we've got this bad boy here as the proverbial Damocles sword. We're then also going to need, for this particular colour of base, some white clay, some silver clay, and some black clay. Now, I'm obviously using something called Fimo here. I know that in America you have, I believe Sculpey is exactly the same brand, possibly. Either way, it's just clay. It's not that big of a deal. I suppose the only thing I would say is you don't want the air drying stuff. I don't really know why. I've just said that. Sounds like a bit of a lie. Either way, I wouldn't want something, you don't use a huge amount of this at a time. So, this little pack here has now lasted me multiple, about 20 of these big bases, including all of the times I messed up. And that's actually why I'm doing this tutorial for you, because I found this tutorial on YouTube and I thought, oh, that's really awesome, because anything where I don't have to paint is great, right? That's right up my alley. Unfortunately, even though it looks super simple on the YouTube video, I could not figure out how to do it at all. So that's why I'm making this tutorial for you. Right. All we've done here is we've taken a nice big blob of white clay, because I've decided I want a really bright, stark white marble. I think that looks cool. Not everybody wants that, but I think it looks cool. You're going to take a then smaller amount of black. All we're doing is rolling these out. And then you are going to do, very shockingly, I realise, take a even smaller amount of silver as well. And we just roll them all out into a little snake. How much do you use? Well, that depends on the size of the base you're going to be making. For example, these bases are 40mm bases, and they're actually really quite large. Oops. And you end up needing quite a lot. If you're going to do this, you need twice as much, minimum. However, a 32 is relatively small, so this amount of white I've got here, actually way too much. Going to take a little bit off. Now, this is where the magic happens, guys. We've got our 3 strands of stuff. We're going to place the black and the white, on top of each other like so. And we twist. Okay. Easy peasy. Twist, twist, twist. Doesn't really matter how much. No need to go crazy. But feel free to twist as much as you want. We then fold it in half. And boom. We're basically done. We've basically made the base, okay? Except we're going to add a little bit of silver in there as well. Ooh, doesn't matter. Okay. Fold it in half. Twist. We're almost done. I don't know how I'm going to stretch this video out to 10 minutes. Okay? Now, how many times should you twist and fold it? That's kind of up to you and the effect that you want to get on the base. For these ones, I am attempting to recreate exactly this. So this is it. I'm not going to fold again. Oh gosh. There we go. It's done. That's our base. Bit crazy, I realise. This is almost too easy, I realise. But hang in there. Now, obviously, this is far too long for this base. What I have decided you can do is just kind of put it on there like that. Just press it on. Fold it all out. You definitely want to make sure that it overhangs on every edge, though. I would suggest that. I'm doing this real time for you, just so that you can see how quickly it really happens. So as you can see, this is way too much, and you can actually reuse this for the next base, or create a huge, horrible, malformed thing. For reasons, I guess. Now, if you do want to make this a little bit more of a plinth, then you can actually build up, this marble to be as thick as you want. I don't really want to. I just want it to be a feature. This is just, if this was just a card back, that would be fine for me. Anyway, we're done. Do make sure you press down all around the edges. Okay, now we take our Damocles sword. You want to align it pretty, flat, I guess. Parallel, I don't know, in line with the side of the base. And you just trim all of this off, and just slides right off. There we go. Easy peasy. I seem to have missed a bit here, don't know how. Alright, doesn't matter. This gets added to our big ball of terrifying clay. Don't worry about these bits around the base. You're going to be painting them, so they can stay there. Right, now we have you could stop here, I suppose, but this isn't quite this, is it? No, this is where we just cut the top off. So before I do this, I'm gonna as I do it, I suppose, I'm gonna quickly mention the other ways this could be done. I am doing it this way because this is the easiest, quickest way to do it. And you already have a scalpel, you don't need anything else, just go for it. All we're doing here is we're just gonna very carefully cut the top layer of clay off. You don't need to make it all one big cut. You don't need to make it smooth. You're just taking the top off. This does a few things. Firstly, you see this white we have here? It's basically grey at this point. Once we cut the top off, we get the real pure, kind of really vibrant white back through. Other ways of doing this are sandpaper. So what you do there is you just get some really fine grit, I'd say 300 for your first pass, and then you probably want to go down to 600 for your second pass. However, the other way of doing it is to actually, instead of what I've done here and applying it directly to the base, instead apply it to, what's it called? Oh, a plane of glass. And then you put the glass directly into the oven when you cook the clay, the base, and that will give you a really nice, clean finish as well. I don't want to do that. I don't have a plane of glass. I can't be bothered to get my sandpaper out. I just want to do it this way. Now, of course, you can modify just how much black and silver is in this. And another good thing to do is if you want it to be more white, instead of just giving yourself, instead of just starting with a huge block of more white clay, do exactly what I did. Start with the white and the black, mix them together, then add in the silver, twist, roll out, then add in another thick strand of white. That will give you a much better result than simply starting with double the white. We're basically done. This is the base. That didn't take long. Okay, so now that we've done that, we again add all of our shavings to our big ball of balls. Okay, cool. So now, because this is clay, what we have to do is go ahead and put this in the oven. Now, this is a very thin layer of clay, if it's going to focus on it. So, if we look at this, all this packaging says the same thing. You want to put it in for 110 degrees. I don't even know what Fahrenheit is. I'm not even going to say that. For 30 minutes. I'm not doing that. I'm cooking this much, much lower. I'm doing it at about 30 degrees. Ish. You know, ish. No. What? I'm doing these much, much lower. I'm doing them at about 70 degrees, but for a little bit longer. So I'm doing them for about an hour. At 70 degrees, and I found that's no problem for me. One reason you don't want to do them at this crazy high 110 when the layer is this thin is you can actually burn these. So yeah, that's something to consider. Now what you want to do here is, once you've trimmed it all up, drop it. No, you want to go and put it into the oven, let it cook as just said. Then once you're done, it looks good, but marble has a bit of a shine to it. So you want to apply some sort of gloss varnish to it. I've used this one. It's fine. I wouldn't say it's good, but it works. It does what you want. It does what it says on the tin. You just apply one coat. I've actually found that this looks better when you cook it again. So keep the oven going at 70. Put it back in for like 15 minutes. Once you've applied this layer of gloss varnish, you can apply this as thick as you want or as thin as you want. I go quite thick, quite sloppy. That's the way she likes it. And then once it comes out, it looks much, much nicer cooked. Okay, and we're done. However, I mean, not really, however. So that's how you end up with a base that looks like this. And of course, I also made this model in the oven. You just throw it in, bang, it's done. You can, of course, do other weird things. Because this clay, I was attempting with this to create a classic, traditional, white marble looking base. For that, I used these three colours. Okay? Simple. However, there are all the colours. Okay? You can have sparkly purple. You can have silver. You can also use sparkly white, actually. If you want lots of, if you want a real shimmer to it. I would recommend going crazy. All we're doing here is creating a swirling pattern. That's all this does. And then as you fold it, the cuts from the different colours into each other when you fold is what creates the interesting nature of it. So you can do all sorts of colours. I've done a bunch here. I'm not saying any of these are good, but these are things. This was my attempt at marble. But I did it exactly the same way, except I started with a Sahara colour. I was attempting to give the marble a slightly, less stark white look. Although I think what actually might have been a good idea is if I took this Sahara colour and just folded it into one of these bases as like a fourth colour. I think that might have been interesting. So, those are things. This was my first ever attempt at doing a black marble. I actually would have been okay with it. I decided to use gold instead of silver. I thought it might be really quite cool to get, a seam of gold along it. And actually, that little seam there was exactly the kind of thing I was after. What I got was this. Obviously not quite my intention, but it's just to show, if you imagine that huge blob of gold wasn't there, and you just had these nice wispy lines of white through the black, I think that would be a brilliant black marble, actually. And this was my attempt at seeing what the hell sparkly purple could do. It did that. Let's not talk about those, Okay, and that's it. Oh, that's just another. So this one, to give you an idea, this base was made exactly the same way you've just seen. The only difference was I folded it 2 more times. So everything here is created by the same colours. It's just how many times do you fold it? I mean, maybe you see that and you like it. Maybe you really like that because it's almost a black marble. You know, it's almost a black marble, but it's more grey. It's less defined. And of course, putting a miniature on it makes every base look much better, if you didn't know that. And there you go. That is my marble basing tutorial. I really like it because it's very quick. It's very easy. Very, very easy to do in batch production. You could just make one big sheet, you know, roll out this entire thing of white, and you would have enough basing material for forever. Also, these are relatively cheap. Like, clay is a cheap product to buy. And don't forget that if you're trying to do something other than just marble, this can be step 1. You can apply a technical paint over the top of it, for example, Mordant Earth. You can highlight it, you can attach rocks, whatever. It's a thing. It's just a tool in the arsenal. Tool in the arse. Jesus Christ, Andy. Anyway, Glass Half Dead. Hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. Hope you find it useful. Let's see if we can't get this cool looking technique of marble bases out to the masses for everybody to enjoy. Anyway, I hope that you've had a good day and continue to have a good day. Goodbye.